We've been hearing rumors for a new Nintendo Switch since 2008. What do you want out of an upgraded Switch model? What is the potential of a Switch Pro coming out in 2021? Well, I guess we know what the first lead question is going to be. The Switch Pro has been a very long rumored thing that come and goes, and it's been kind of quiet for a while because Nintendo went out of their way to say, hey, for 2020 we have no plans to release a new system, but thanks to some recent rumors coming from multiple sources, the most recent of which, at least as the time of me shooting this video, is Bloomberg, is pointing to the fact that Nintendo might be actually working on manufacturing a new Switch model to release sometime in early 2021. Now, the really important thing to take away from a lot of these kind of early rumor reports that we're seeing circulating around is that literally the only thing they are all saying is they're working on one to come out sometime in 2021. A lot of them have kind of added in extra little lines like, oh, we're hoping it'll hit 4K, or oh, it's going to improve some aspect of the Switch. That's cool and all, none of that is confirmed though. So everything outside of the fact that a new Switch is coming out is basically people trying to guess what it's going to be. Now, of course, the really big thing that most people are hoping for is that it is some kind of more powerful Switch upgrade. There is a little bit of debate whether or not this is going to be something that replaces the regular mainline Switch that we currently have out and already did get a refresh late last year, or if it's going to be some kind of side, more expensive version that you can buy. So now the lineup is, a regular Switch, Switch Lite, or the more expensive Switch Pro, new Nintendo Switch, whatever Nintendo ends up deciding to call it. As for what exactly it could be, again, there is no actual hard info on any of this. I think the main thing a lot of people are really talking about and hoping for is some kind of improvement when it comes to the resolution and performance when it comes to gameplay. The two biggest things I've seen most people push out is the hope that either docked gameplay could hit 4K, or to have portable gameplay have a 1080p screen instead of 720, and on both versions just having a smoother, more consistent frame rate, or in the case of games that make use of dynamic resolution scaling, actually maintaining a higher resolution more often instead of sometimes dipping down to 360p and looking awful. When it comes to whether or not we are actually getting this new model Switch, I think yes. I mean, I've always kind of leaned on the side of I think Nintendo's going to release some kind of new Switch Pro sometime soon. I was originally hoping it would be sometime late last year, but instead we got the Switch Lite along with the updated Switch model. And again, Nintendo went out of their way to say no new Switch model this year. So the idea of a new model coming out in early 2021 makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider the fact that the Switch initially launched in March of 2017. That puts about a 4-year gap between them, give or take a couple of months depending on where it actually lands on. Personally, I think one important thing to clarify that some people are worried about is I don't think this is going to be considered an entirely brand new system. I don't think this is going to be a situation where there's going to be games that only play on the newer model, whether it's because it's like a whole new generation or kind of like what they did with the new Nintendo 3DS where, there were select games that had to be on that new system. I don't think that's going to be the case this time. I much more think it's just going to be a more powerful alternative option to the Switch that plays the same game library but is better in some way. Now, as far as what I would personally like to see out of it, I mean, all the different kinds of performance upgrades that everyone's talking about sound great to me. Obviously, I like the sound of all those ones. As far as what's maybe more realistically attainable, personally, I would really like to see the 1080p screen in handheld mode. I primarily play in handheld, so improving that experience as much as possible would be great, as long as it doesn't come at the expense of the battery life, because the battery life on a Switch is already not super great, and so I don't want to see that completely disappear if they decide to up the performance and on the go. As far as docked gameplay goes, 4K certainly sounds nice. I don't think they're necessarily going to actually be pushing that in that direction, but if they did, it would be cool. At minimum, I would just like something that plays nice and smoothly when I do go to docked mode, instead of getting in a kind of frame dips, which we do see on some titles. Favorite game director? Ooh, that one's actually kind of tough, because I don't oftentimes follow individual directors super hard. I focus much more on overall dev teams. One of my favorites that I have followed a few specific games from is Josh Sawyer. The particular games he's probably most known for that I'm really a big fan of are Fallout New Vegas and the Pillars of Eternity series. He's not involved in the upcoming Skyrim-esque Pillars of Eternity game that was announced at the Xbox showcase. As far as like actual specific game directors go, he's one of the few that I really follow closely, aside from, the really, really big name people that everyone just kind of know all the time. Why do you look like budget Adam Levine? I actually don't get that comparison very often. I've seen Jared Leto more in the past, which makes a little more sense to me. I still don't see it 100%, but I see it more than Adam Levine, I think. I need to look at updated photos of both of them. The upcoming next-gen systems and games seem underwhelming and far from ready. Would we be better off delaying everything for another year? This is kind of a weird question, because when it comes to individual games, I'm always a fan of delaying to make sure the game is better and not necessarily rushing out to meet demand. But that's not really the case with these systems, right? The systems themselves are ready, it's just whether or not there's actually games available worth picking up for them right away. And in the case of Xbox, there's the whole situation of Halo Infinite getting pushed back. In Sony's case, we don't really actually know what the launch window games are, aside from Spider-Man. When you look at the history of most system launches, a lot of them didn't necessarily have super amazing libraries at the ready. That is an important aspect of making sure they sell very well at the open, I agree, but considering the current economic climate and how people might not be willing to throw down $400 or $500 for a brand new system, it might actually be better off that, they come out this early, but then there's some time to wait for those people that want to save up additional money and really get a good idea of how well each system is performing. Would it be strategically better for them to wait so they have a really strong launch library? Maybe, but I think for the consumer, it's actually a lot better that they do come out this holiday season, so you get those choices right away, and there's more time for them to be kind of just out there in the wild so people can learn more and more about them as they decide which one they'd rather pick up first. Have you seen the renders of an all-gray classic PS5? Assuming Sony makes a white, black, and gray version, which one would you choose? I've seen a lot of different mock-ups for a lot of different PS5 designs, some of which are special editions, some of which are just simple colors. Based on just kind of going off those ones that are like the gray, the black, or the white, I actually like the white a lot, mainly because that is the one that actually does make use of two different colors. It has the black in the middle and the white on the sides. A lot of the renders I've seen for the gray or black designs of just doing all one color all around, and I'm not really a big fan of that. Especially the way the PS5 is designed, I think it very much lends itself to the idea of having at least two different distinct colors, which the base white model that we've seen does. I will say I really appreciate the two different color approaches, and I would like to see a lot of their models take that approach instead of just kind of making all of them monocolor designs. Are the Series X and PS5 all digital viable options nowadays, in your opinion? So I think the main thing that's being asked here is my thoughts on just doing all digital systems in general for next gen, and yes, definitely for PlayStation and Xbox specifically. I think there's already been a lot of arguments for why people should move to all digital. I mean, personally, I still buy physical for most of my games just because I like having physical copies, but for most people, digital is honestly just a way better way to go. You're able to play the game right at launch, you don't have to change discs when you switch between games. Really, the only system where buying physical makes any kind of additional logistic sense is the Switch, because it doesn't actually install the games to your hard drive and it keeps some space opened up. Disc-based games though, like for the PS5 and Xbox Series X, that's not really an option because disk read technology is way too slow, so you're always going to have to install a bunch of stuff on the hard drive. I think the big thing here is that all digital is definitely the route that's going to be more profitable for Xbox and PlayStation, and instead of trying to force people to do that by just making the standard system an all digital option, which is something that Xbox tried to do with the Xbox One initially, before all the backlash, I think now what they're trying to do is incentivize people by offering cheaper options that are all digital that will help convince them, hey, you don't really need to buy physical discs anymore, just get the system and you'll see that, hey, you're not only saving money and getting an all digital version, but now you're just gonna buy all digital games and it's gonna be even better for you. While I love owning physical copies of games, I know that it's just going to be the eventual future that the majority games are going to go all digital. What I would really like to see kind of happen in the long run is the situation we're already getting with a lot of indie games where games are initially launched purely digitally, and then alongside them, either at launch or sometime down the line, there is a limited run batch of physical copies for those people that really want to have that. And when they do that, they actually go out of their way to do even cooler stuff for those physical editions than they normally would, like actually having instruction manuals and all kinds of little interesting pieces of art. That's really where I want things to go. I want it to be where digital is kind of the expected norm, but for people that want to go out of their way and maybe even pay a little extra to get physical copies, it's made something extra special. How do you feel about the Xbox and PS5 prices not being revealed so close to release? It's a little hectic, admittedly. You would really think that now that we're at almost 2 to 3 months away from supposed launches, we would know what you're going to pay for both these systems, but we don't, at least as of the time that I'm recording this video. I think the biggest thing, honestly, is that both these companies don't even for sure know what price they're going to sell at. I think they both have very good ideas, and they have a sort of min and max range, but they're both waiting to see what the other one announces and seeing if they want to try and undercut that or at least price match it. And so we're just kind of left hanging right now, wondering when one of them is going to blink and actually reveal that. I certainly don't love being in the dark this long about how much these systems are going to cost, but I'm just riding the wave with everyone else. I'm hoping to see an official reveal from one company sometime soon, and then we can really start talking about how that stacks compared to the competition and which one's starting to sound like a better buy to most people. Do you get tired of the Nintendo Direct rumors that almost always never happen? If Direct does happen this week or sometime soon, which game are you looking forward to the most? Directs have been all over the place. I mean, part of the issue is, again, crazy times right now, and I think Nintendo is just kind of holding their breath and just announcing things when they're ready. Anytime there's any kind of rumor now about Nintendo Direct, I take it with a very heavy grain of salt. I've just accepted that we're not going to get them nearly as often as people want, and I'm just waiting for it to actually happen. If I hear any rumor at all, I just kind of go, I'm just going to wait for them to actually officially do something, and then I'll talk about what they reveal. Now, as far as things that I want announced, I'm a simple guy. I just really like RPGs. I can always use more RPGs. So even though it's already an announced game, I'm actually really looking forward to more info on Bravely Default 2. That is a title that's currently a little up in the air as far as release date goes, so I really want to learn more about that. Now that Halo Infinite is not launching with the Xbox Series X, are you getting a PS5 first? Or are you still going to get both? Okay, I have two different answers to this question. First off, because of what I do, YouTube, talking to you guys about these systems and trying them out and letting you know my thoughts on them so it can help guide your decisions on which one you should buy, yes, I am going to pick up both. That's the plan no matter what. Even if there were no games coming out for either of them at launch and it was just, here's the systems, enjoy higher resolutions, I would still pick them up so I could talk about them and take a look at each one and let you guys know what I think. If I was doing something else with my life, yeah, I would probably get a PS5 and call it a day. For the time being. I've always made it a habit of eventually getting all the systems of a generation, but I definitely prioritize getting one near launch, and then the other one, I wait a while until there's one or two titles that really convince me, okay, it's worth spending all the money all over again to get a new system that's really going to open up a small handful of exclusives to me. There are some Xbox exclusives that look really enticing to me personally, but a lot of them don't have confirmed release dates yet, so I just don't have any rush to buy a Series X right at launch. Plus, I do have a pretty decent PC, so I would likely play those games on there instead as well. How is the Genki Covert Switch dock doing now that some time has passed? Would you recommend? If you guys haven't seen my video on that, the Genki Covert dock is this really tiny plugin that you just do directly into the wall and then has cables running out to your Switch and your monitor, making it probably the most portable version of a Switch dock that has been yet to be released. I really liked it. I had no problems with it like I've had with some other third-party docks. To be fair, I play handheld much more than I play docked mode. I have been using the Covert dock as my dock when I play in docked mode, but I don't really use it in dock as often as I think a lot of other people do, but still, no problems yet.